Thanks for clicking on this video. Be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon and turn on all notifications to keep up to date with the latest information and discussions. Ah, you see? I told you it wouldn't take a year to get this part out. Hey guys, MasakoX here. Now I will admit that this story did take a little while to come back, despite its enticing premise. I mean, you know, Vegito staying fused, that's kind of a big deal. But we are going to come back to it now, after a pretty noteworthy cliffhanger. Now that we are well into Super's timeline, we have to ask the question, what if, back in the days of the Buu saga, the potara fusion known as Vegito never separated after fusing? Yeah, no retcons, no bad air to be had here. What if Goku and Vegeta's combination stayed fused from there on out? Now, the reason I've been dragging my heels quite a bit on this issue of the what if is that Super wasn't quite sure what it was going to do in regards to its story towards the end of it. Now that that is taken care of, fully and completely comprehensively, we've had some time to process what happened. We can now resume our story and go into the realms of the Future Trunks / Black arc of Super. In the last part, Vegito had resigned themselves to the fact that potara fusion was seemingly permanent, and that this fusion was going to be sticking around for the rest of their lives. However, that all changed come Super, when we found out that you can reverse a potara fusion using only the Dragon Balls. This was the first retcon to potara prior to us finding out about the Midgardian 1 hour time limit if you weren't a Kai. So the two could split, but would their power split with them or be lost entirely? Would this just be a complete waste of time? That left them conflicted. We got all the way to the end of the Universe 6 arc / tournament, with Vegito taking the win over Hit thanks to the Super Kaioken Blue ×10 power that we saw Goku doing in the original story, much to his pain. However, that whole notion of maybe defusing has been made up for the Saiyans, as due to all the exertion that was undertaken for the Kaioken ×10 ability, it had tested Potara's fusion limits to something never tested before, not really knowing how much energy could be transmitted in that fusion, and it caused the earrings to break, and thusly for the fusion to break also. Now that Vegeta is no more and Goku and Vegeta are two people again, the two are left reeling and feeling weird in their own separate bodies for the first time in almost 5 years. The rest of the Universe 7 contingent are left shocked, but Chi-Chi and Bulma are the most stunned. Their husbands? On their back? And as for Champa? Oh, he's angry.
Beerus cheated! He had 2 fighters fight in the place of 1! How dare he do something so sneaky! It should have been me to do that!
But Beerus then protests that he wasn't aware of the 2 Saiyans instead of 1. He'd only met Vegito, and thusly he had acted on good faith. Champa tells him not to play dumb. Surely he would know about potara fusion. Every God knows about that. That's the basic of basics. Even the Kais know, and they're silly. While all this is going on, Goku and Vegeta stand up absolutely exhausted. Chi-Chi and Bulma are the first on the scene, hugging their husbands and exalting their relief that this bizarre living arrangement scenario has resolved itself finally. They'd grown to accept this arrangement, but now that they know that the Dragon Balls can fix this, they found out via Shin by the way, they feel so much more aware of the whole situation and now are relieved that it isn't permanent after all. The Omni King then suddenly makes his appearance like he does in the original, which stops Champa and Beerus bickering immediately. Zeno is quite pleased with the spectacle of the event, and wants to know where the bearded fighter went. Goku, blurting out thanks to his lack of decorum, states that it was a potara fusion, and that sadly he's no longer around. Zeno's left very sad by this. He wanted to talk to him personally. In fact, he gets so sad that he talks about erasing this planet and everyone on it, having been denied his request. It was such a small request after all. Beerus, Champa and the Elder Kai start to freak out at this, and they order Shin to get Vegito back immediately. Shin then quickly takes off his set of potara and gives them to Goku, thinking that it would be an easy feat, but we have Vegeta to deal with and you know how he feels about fusion. Vegeta is not ready to refuse after barely resuming control of his own body. He flatly says no to the idea, and this gets Zeno a little cross as well. Champa is really bricking it now, and tells Beerus to knock some sense into that Saiyan at once. Beerus does something now that he didn't expect to do, and that is to beg. He is begging to Vegeta to refuse into Vegito. He gets on his knees and pleads to Vegeta to combine with Goku one more time for the sake of the universe. Vegeta has never been made aware of Zeno, and Beerus equates him to himself times 1,000, easily. No, 10,000 times! He'll say anything just to get him to do it. Vegeta is surprised that someone could even be more powerful than Beerus. He turns around to look at Zeno, and is immediately intimidated by those round and empty eyes. He has special eyes. Goku leans over to him and says,
"Aw, come on, Vegeta. Let's just do it already. We can defuse later with the Dragon Balls. One more time, yeah?"
Vegeta curses this and accepts the other earring, and the two then return to being Vegito, beard and all. Bulma and Chi-Chi sigh annoyingly, but Beerus turns to them and says, "You should be lucky you have a universe to be annoyed in." Vegito walks up to Zeno and raises his hand up to greet him. Zeno imitates his gesture and they shake hands. Well, I say shake, more like Zeno floats around being shook around by Vegito, which he finds utterly hilarious. We then get a similar conversation that we had between Zeno and Goku in the original timeline, only a fair bit more formal than that, thanks to the presence of Vegeta and knowing about royal decorum. Now satisfied, Zeno thinks about having more tournaments like this in the future before setting off home. The cat GODs breathe a sigh of relief, and Beerus orders Vegito to remain fused forever, in case Zeno pays a visit to Earth, or else Beerus will destroy the Earth. Vegito is surprised and doesn't really get a chance to object, but behind Beerus' back, Vegito mutters that he could probably take Beerus by now. Whatever the case, time passes and we begin the Black Future Trunks arc, like before, with Trunks getting back to the past to secure help from his past friends. Bulma finds Trunks and takes his unconscious body to a bed for him to recover. Meanwhile, she contacts Whis on Beerus' planet, where Vegito and a bearded Gohan are training with the cat. Vegito remembers Trunks, having both the memories of Vegeta and Goku, and so is keen to check out the situation and actually get to see the Era of Time one more time. What could have caused the boy to come back? His future should have been resolved, right? Gohan is especially concerned. Whatever happened, it can't have been good. The group then returns to Capsule Corp, and Trunks wakes up from his slumber, looking at the people around him. Trunks then spots a Saiyan figure, and can't quite make out who they are. Then it hits him. It's Black! He attacks Vegito, and the others have to calm Trunks down, stating that this isn't Black, it's Vegito. Huh? Vegito? Now Trunks wouldn't know about potara fusions, since he left back after the Cell Saga. Potara wasn't a thing back then. As far as he was concerned, the being that he had fought back in the future was someone called Black. Trunks then wants to know where Goku and Vegeta are. The fusion then states, "You're looking at them." Trunks is confused, so this is a fusion? Yes, Trunks. He understands this after a little bit of a catch-up. Realizing that his father is part of this fusion, Trunks is happy to see them, but Vegito is a little uncomfortable at this. That comes from the Goku part. Then the Vegeta part takes up the slack and mildly berates his son for having not stood his ground in the future and decided to flee back to the past for safety. Trunks is puzzled at the split personality of this fusion, but Bulma says that you get used to it in time. Time is the wrong word to say, Bulms. Trunks then feels sickened at the thought that his own father's soul was part of Black's nefarious plan. The question is, though, how did that fusion end up being that way in the first place? What caused this person to destroy Trunks' future after having worked it back to normality all those years ago? No time for that now, because we start to get a rift in the time-space continuum. Black is traveling through time, having sensed some presence in another time thanks to the Ring of Time. That's a lot of time. Now dubbed Vegeta Black, he looks at his surroundings and spots his counterpart, regular Vegito, staring back at him. This Vegito means business though, unlike the straight up Goku vs Goku Black fight. As we know that this Black has Zamasu's straight up mind, the combination body is all that remains in common with our iteration. He doesn't know the fact that Vegeta's a fusion. With Vegeta's impatience, the battle begins with the fusion going straight to Super Saiyan Blue. Yep, Vegito Blue is here, and Vegito Black has nothing. He had yet to tap into the power deep within, not even Super Saiyan, but is suitably surprised and then regretting everything, as Vegito Blue is seriously beating him down. "How dare you hurt my son!" shouts the fusion, which catches Trunks off guard. It's still weird for them to hear him say that. Trunks says to Gohan, or who he thinks is Gohan, the beard is different, "What's going on here? What's that blue power?" Gohan turns to him and says, "It's a long story." Vegito is disappointed that this clone of him, an imitation, can't even go Super Saiyan, and decides to end things right now with a final Kamehameha, which works. And you see, why I get here is the fact that Goku in the original timeline was dawdling, and by the time he got serious against Black, Black was being pulled back into the time ether after the distortion fixed itself. Here though, Vegeta's nature drove Vegito to get things done immediately, and thanks to that drive, Black is no more. He has ceased to be, and he has joined the choir invisible. Trunks is, well, he's speechless. Black's gone, and as we know, it's not over yet despite this. Since Black didn't damage the time machine during his time in the past, Trunks could go back at any time, but Bulma being Bulma insists that her son rest for a little while in a comfy bed. Well, mothers know best, I guess. Whis is still intrigued as to how a mortal would have access to a time ring, and so we would get the same investigation as to how he got said ring. Might it be actually someone else? As Trunks rests off his time lag, Whis, Beerus and Vegito go off to Universe 10 like in the original to investigate the key that Whis felt, and it felt like a being known as Zamasu. It's only a hunch, but the angel would like to check it out all the same. Zamasu is surprised to see a mortal in the sacred world of the Kais when these three arrive. Now unlike Goku, Vegeta isn't that enthusiastic to fight right now. Vegeta's calculating brain is keeping him from lunging or being disrespectful. For the moment, that is. We then get the fight between the two, with Beerus pestering Vegito to fight him like he did against Black, and Vegito isn't going to take that lying down. Vegito complies, as after all, he is a Saiyan. The two fight with Vegito going blue just like he did with Black to test the waters, and immediately Zamasu is overwhelmed. This is playing out exactly the same as it did before. Whis is getting everything that he wants to know. But Zamasu is feeling frustrated. This is God Ki that he's dealing with. From a mortal? How did this happen? How did a mortal desecrate the realm of the Kais with their presence and usurping their energy of all things? The two stand off for a moment, and Vegito readies an attack and charges it. He has figured it out as well. Vegeta's mind has affirmed that this is Black, and he will pay for ending future Bulma and everyone they cared about. Goku in the original story was too trusting, but Vegito, not so much. Now here is where we are going to leave things for now, but I will leave a poll for you. Does Vegito go ahead and fire the final Kamehameha, or does something stop him from doing so? Vote now, and in part 4, we will decide what happens. Thank you. So what do you guys think? Was this something that you expected? Does Vegeta's presence indeed make all the difference when countering Goku's trustworthy nature? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. And I shall see you in the next video. Catch you later!